Hi everyone. Thank you for joining November 2020's Stampin' Class by Mail. I'm Gina Wieselman of MySweetPaper.com, and I'm so excited for you to make your set of 3 cards using the Snowflake Splendor suite by Stampin' Up. I've teamed up with Brenda Cardinal, another Stampin' Up demonstrator, to offer these monthly classes by mail. This month, Brenda designed the 3 cards for you, so she'll show you how to stamp and assemble all 3 designs. Make sure to watch to the end of this video for a sneak peek of next month's card designs and some additional information. For now, have fun stamping your cards, and here's Brenda.
Thanks, Gina. Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Cardinal of stampintulip.stampinup.net, and I can't wait to show you how to stamp and assemble your 3 card designs featuring the Snowflake Splendor suite of products. This suite can be found in Stampin' Up's August to December 2020 mini catalog. From the suite, we'll be using the Snowflake Wishes stamp set, So Many Snowflakes dies, the Winter Snow embossing folder, the Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper, the Balmy Blue glimmer paper, the blue adhesive back gems, and the Snowflake Splendor ribbon. Also from the mini catalog, we'll be using the Snowflake adhesive backed embellishments. And from Stampin' Up's annual catalog, we'll be using the lovely label Pickle Punch, the Layering Circles dies, and the Stitched Shapes dies. If you've ordered a kit from either Gina or me, all your card elements have been embossed, die cut, and punched for you. You want to get your supply items ready, including the Misty Moonlight and Pacific Point stamp pad, mini glue dots, multi-purpose liquid glue, Stampin' Dimensionals, Stampin' Seal, a bowl folder, an assortment of clear blocks, and a paper snips. Please reach out to Gina or me if you need any supplies or would like to talk about becoming a Stampin' Up demonstrator or hosting a Stampin' Up event. Let's get started with our first card design. Our first card is Moonlight Snowflakes. If you ordered a Stampin' Class by Mail kit from either Gina or me, all your parts and pieces, including envelopes and embellishments, have been shipped directly to your home. If not, here are the things you'll need to complete the cards as designed. Pause the video here and prep everything, and then come back when you're ready. We'll start by doing all of our stamping, and we'll use Misty Moonlight ink. We'll start by taking our smaller piece of Whisper White cardstock. We'll just lay the die-cut Misty Moonlight piece on top. And I don't want to attach it with adhesive quite yet, in case I make a mistake stamping, because then I can flip this over and stamp on the other side. But I'll get it all centered up as if it is attached. I'll ink our stamp, and then I'll stamp our greeting. Okay, we'll set that aside, and then we'll stamp our inside piece. For our snowflakes, we'll do generational stamping, meaning I'll ink it up, go directly to my paper, and then rather than inking it again, I'll just pick it up and move it slightly and stamp it a second time for a little bit lighter snowflake. You can also do that same thing on your envelope. All right, that's all of our stamping. So let's go ahead and get started on assembling our card. So let's take our Misty Moonlight card base. We'll fold it in half along the score line, and then we'll use our bone folder to make a nice crease on that. Using our Stampin' Seal adhesive, I'll attach the inside greeting. Then I'll attach our 2 Designer Series paper pieces. These go one along the top and one along the bottom of the card front. All right. Whenever I can, I like to cut the designer series paper just a little bit longer so that it doesn't end up short. So then I'll just take my paper snips and trim off any excess. All right. Then we'll set that aside and we'll attach our die cut piece onto our Whisper White. So I'm going to do that with two different adhesives. I'm going to use our Stampin' Seal, and I'm also going to use our multi-purpose liquid glue. So I'm going to start out by putting some Stampin' Seal on the areas that are a little bit bigger. And then after I've done that, I'm going to come back with our liquid glue and just put little dots on the parts of the snowflake. And I decided to do that so that when you're taking the card in and out of the envelope, these little delicate die cut pieces don't get caught and then fold back. Okay. And then we'll center that up. And put a little pressure on the snowflakes. Then we'll attach this to our card front using dimensionals. And we're going to center it so it covers about the same amount of designer series paper, and there's the same amount of Misty Moonlight card base showing on the left and right side. The last thing we need to do is attach our snowflake, and we're going to do that with mini glue dots. Now you probably are wondering, how is that possible? So what we're going to do is we're going to expose a mini glue dot like this. We're going to take our thumb and we're going to roll it into a hot dog shape like that. And then we're going to attach the little hot dog glue dot to a section of the back of the snowflake. And I think I'm going to do that 2 more times. All right, so we have 3 hot dog glue dots, and then we'll attach that over here. And there we go. Our next card is the Snowflake Thank You. And here are the parts and pieces you'll need for this card. We'll start by doing our stamping with Pacific Point ink. And we'll start by stamping our outside greeting on our stitched shaped die cut Whisper White piece. And we want to stamp that in the center. And then if you'd like, go ahead and stamp some snowflakes on the inside of your thick Whisper White card base. We'll do that generational stamping again. Okay. And then if you'd like, go ahead and stamp your envelope as well. We're going to start out by adding our designer series paper to our Pacific Point pieces. Notice that you have one larger and smaller of each of the 2. So let's start with our larger. And how we're going to attach this is we're going to meet cut edges at one end, leaving about 1/16 of an inch of the Pacific Point showing. And we'll do that same thing with the smaller pieces. Okay. Then we'll attach our stamped Whisper White circle to our Pacific point. And then we're going to set this one aside for just a minute. All right, now you have a piece of Whisper White cardstock that's 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And what we're going to do is we're going to attach our Designer Series paper assembly and our Balmy Blue Glimmer paper. Let's start out by adding our larger piece with dimensionals. Now, the end that has the Designer Series, or I'm sorry, the end that has the Pacific point showing, we want to move those dimensionals up a little bit so that when we tuck this piece in, it doesn't get bumped up against that dimensional. So we'll align this larger Designer Series assembly with the top of our Whisper White cardstock. Okay, then we'll take our Stampin' Seal and we'll attach our Balmy Blue Glimmer paper, and we're just going to tuck that underneath the larger Designer Series paper assembly. Make sure it's straight on there. There we go. And then we'll add the smaller Designer Series paper assembly with dimensionals again. Now it's not, placement on your dimensionals in this case is not, what should I say, is not quite as important because our Balmy Blue Glimmer paper is already attached now. And then we'll do the opposite so that the opposite of this one, so the Pacific Point cardstock is facing the other one. All right, there we go. Now we'll take our thick Whisper White card base and we'll fold that in half using our bone folder to get a nice crease on that. And we'll attach this to the front of our card using our Stampin' Seal. Now I suppose you could have gone directly to your card front with all of this. I thought it'd be a little easier for everything to line up by using that extra piece of Whisper White cardstock. There we go. Now we'll add our greeting using dimensionals again. And placement for the dimensionals is kind of important here too, because we don't want it to sink in here. We want it to sit on top. So we'll want to add one on the back side to the top and bottom. So one up here and then one down here. Okay, then we've pre-tied your bow for you, and we'll attach that using a glue dot. I just love this ribbon. I love the shimmer on it. Okay, and then, not part of the suite, but equally fun, and it is a snowflake, is our adhesive back snowflakes. And I wanted to point out to you, I don't know if it's going to be easy for you to see, but if you look at one, it almost looks like they're iridescent pink. I should say one sheet, and I've used a lot of them, so there's not much to see here. But the other one is more blue, green. So we'll use these. And they're already adhesive back, so I can just grab them and place them wherever you think looks best. And there we go. Our last card is a Snowflake Wishes card, and it's kind of fun because it has a 2-stage opening. So it opens once like this, and then it opens a second time to reveal the message on the inside. Here are the parts and pieces you'll need for this card. So before we get started on stamping and assembling our card, I'm going to show you how to cut that balmy blue card base. We'll use Stampin' Up's paper trimmer to do so. And I'll take our 8.5 by 11 piece of cardstock to create 2 card bases. So we'll start out by scoring our cardstock. So we'll score it at 4 1/4. That's half of 8.5. Our scoring blade is the lighter gray. Okay, probably a little hard to see, but it's been scored. And then we'll come back and we'll align our cardstock at 5 1/2, which is half of 11, and we'll cut that in half. So there's the card base. Now let me show you how I cut for the fun fold. So we'll take our cutting blade and we'll move it down, and then we're going to slide our cardstock over to 1 1/8. And then we're going to cut from the bottom up to our score line. Now I'll know when to stop because the cutting blade has this little line here. And when that lines up with the score line, I know to stop. Okay, so from the bottom, moving up, the line meets the score line. Then I'll take my cardstock, I'm going to flip it around, and I'm now going to cut from the top to the bottom. And the reason I'm doing it one way for one cut and the other way for the other cut is because when I push the blade, I want it to push so that it pushes the cardstock into this bumper so it doesn't move. So again, I'm going to find the 1 inch and go over to 1 1/8. Close my bar and bring my cutting blade down until it meets, the line meets again that score line. Oops. And there we go. All right, let's start by doing our stamping using the Pacific Point ink again. And we'll start by stamping our greeting on our lovely label Pick-a-Punch. I love this punch, and what I like about it so much is that it has 2 different designs that will punch on the end of your label, and then it has slots for 3 different sizes per design. So it's like getting 6 punches in one. Such a cool idea. All right, so we'll ink up our stamp. We'll stamp our greeting. And then we'll stamp our inside piece. And then we'll stamp snowflakes in the corners. And the reason we're doing that is when they do the first open, they'll get a little sneak peek as to what they'll see when they do the second open. All right. And then of course you can stamp your envelope. I did a little generational stamping on my envelope. And then that's all of our stamping. So we can go ahead and start assembling our card. We'll take our card base and we'll fold it along that score line that we created. And bring in our bone folder to get a nice crease on that. And then we'll start by adding our inside message with our Stampin' Seal. Then we'll add our balmy blue embossed pieces. These were embossed with the Winter Snow embossing folder. And you can decide, do I want the embossed side up or do I want the deboss side up? So my sample has the emboss side up, so let's try putting the deboss side up and see what we think about that. And then these will go on those little outside sections of our card front. You know, it looks great either way. Nice. All right, then we'll add our designer series paper to our Highland Heather piece of cardstock. There we go. All right, then decide how you want to place your designer series paper piece. I think I'll put the designer series paper this direction, so when I place my label across the front, I see some of the Highland Heather on the designer series paper. Okay, then I'll add my outside greeting label to my Highland Heather label. And then to attach the label to our card, we're going to use dimensionals. And we want to place the dimensionals strategically so that we do get that first open and then the second open. So you want to place a dimensional on this end and this end of the label, not one in the middle, just the two. All right, and then we'll place this about an inch, inch and a quarter from the bottom of our card, and then centered left and right. And our last little piece is our little gems. These are the blue adhesive back gems, and I wanted to point out that they're very interesting and very sparkly. I like them, but these seem to have like a white backing, so they shine more light blue. These seem to have a black backing, so they're a little deeper in tone. And for each of the color combinations, they have the small and the large. You can see I've really been playing with these a lot. So in your kit, you get a variety. So pick two that are alike and then add them to the card. You can see by this card that I assembled for you and the sample that I brought up. So here we have the embossed side up and the blue or the white backed gems. And this one we have the debossed side up and then we have the black backed gems. So either way, the card is just beautiful. This first sample features many of the beautiful snowflakes from the stamp set in the suite. I took the color nod from the beautiful Snowflake Splendor designer series paper that's also part of the suite. Then I got to thinking, gosh, I wonder if I could recreate this same card using the dies. And so here's that version. This next card has kind of a fun vellum element to it. So I have a layer of vellum, and then I die cut some snowflakes with the vellum as well. This next card features the largest die in the So Many Snowflakes dies, and it also features the balmy blue glimmer paper, the winter snow embossing folder, and also that lovely ribbon from that suite as well. Here's another sample. This Christmas card's kind of fun. It has a belly band, and then you slide that off, and then it has a fun fold. And for all your winter birthdays, how about a snowflake card?
Thanks for demonstrating how to make those beautiful cards, Brenda. If you registered for a Stampin' Class by Mail kit from either Brenda or me, make sure to follow the link in the email that shared this video with you so that you can access a specially curated Pinterest board with even more ideas for how to use your Snowflake Splendor supplies.
We're changing our every other month routine a little bit for our class in December. I'll again be designing and sharing the cards with you, and I can't wait to show you a sneak peek of our card designs featuring the Quite Curvy bundle by Stampin' Up. This bundle is part of the November to December 2020 Curvy Celebrations promotion. This special promotion features 2 brand new stamp sets, coordinating dies, and designer series paper. From the promotion for our December Stampin' Class by Mail, we'll be using the Quite Curvy bundle. But don't miss out on the Curvy Christmas stamp set along with the Classic Christmas designer series paper that coordinates with it. The Curvy Christmas stamp set was designed to coordinate with the curvy dies as well. I'll be showing extra samples during next month's instructional video using all the items from this promotion. For the December Stampin' Class by Mail, you'll get supplies to make a total of 9 cards, 3 each of 3 card designs plus envelopes. From the Quite Curvy bundle, we'll be using the Quite Curvy stamp set and curvy dies. We're going to pair this with elements from the Playing with Patterns suite from Stampin' Up's 2020-2021 annual catalog. These elements include the Playing with Patterns designer series paper, ribbon, and resin dots. We'll also be using elements that have been pre-cut and punched for you if you ordered a class kit by mail from either Gina or me. These elements include things from the Label Me Lovely punch, layering ovals dies, and the stitched shapes dies. Our ink colors include Night of Navy and Tuxedo Black Memento.
The registration deadline for December 2020's Stampin' Class by Mail is December 5th. However, if you sign up by November 27th, we have a special bonus in store for you. If you sign up by that date, in addition to all your kit supplies, you'll also receive 2 completed cards with envelopes shipped along with your kit. We also have a referral bonus if you find new friends to sign up for the Stampin' Class by Mail. Make sure to check your email for all of the details about how that referral bonus works. If you're not already on one of our email lists, reach out to either Brenda or me so we can get you added. We'll email about these classes and other Stampin' Up opportunities like hosting events or becoming a Stampin' Up demonstrator. As always, we'd love any feedback that you have about these classes by mail. And until next month, happy stamping.